What's up, everybody? We are back at Around the Mat Pod. I am your host, PJ North, and we're back for another week talking all things wrestling. It has been a wild week, obviously, with the documentary coming out and then WWE trying to double down on PR with announcing a bunch of different stuff. AEW Grand Slam, a lot of things happening in the wrestling landscape, and we're going to talk all about it this week. But before we do that, if you're watching live on Twitch, what's up, man? Thanks for joining. Make sure you hit that follow button. I'd love to see all your faces. Comment, man. I got the chat screen on my phone, so I'd love to see some comments if you're watching live. I'd love to know that you're watching live, so we might answer some questions live on TV here. If you're listening on YouTube or watching live on YouTube on Friday or any day after that, thank you. Hit that like and subscribe button. Helps me out. Love to know that people are watching. Leave a comment. Let us know your feedback on each of the shows and all those things. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, don't forget to leave us a 5-star or a 1-star. All those helps. Any engagement with all of that stuff. And lastly, follow us along on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at AroundTheMatPod. Super easy to find. And we'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to see everybody's wrestling things. I'd love to follow back so I can see what everybody else is talking about wrestling. And with that being said, I've got a guest, and we're back at it. And this week, it is the mailman, young Tancredi. Tank,
what's going on?
What's the good word, baby?
Man, we got a good week to talk about.
Hell yeah. Thanks for joining us. I don't know who Big Time TS is, but shout out to Big Time TS. Thanks for joining. I know he's watched before, and I can't remember who. I don't know who it is. If it is Adam, just remember, Adam, you are my work and shoot enemy. So just remember that. But a lot of things happening in wrestling, obviously. We're going to talk all about it, man. We got some we're going to bring back trivia this week. We're going to do randomizer. We're going to One Has to Go. We had a lot of things to talk about. But with all of that, we always lead it off with the headlines. And this week, the headlines read SummerSlam going 2 nights, and they're doing it in New York, New Jersey at MetLife Stadium. Tank, what are your thoughts, man, on SummerSlam? One, going 2 nights, we obviously knew that was going to happen. But
yeah.
What the thought of, man, MetLife is massive, obviously. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a good move. I mean, the last time I remember them being in Jersey for SummerSlam was when I went last time in 2007. It's been a long time since they've been there. I think it's a good market. I think, the East Coast is always has the edge in being the better market when
but worst fans. Worst fans. All the people I'm friends with are the worst.
Yeah.
Man, it looks like it's going to be cool. Obviously, our group chat is majority based in the Northeast, which is really cool to see that. I don't know if there's been a SummerSlam in obviously there hasn't been one in a stadium in New York, but I don't know what the biggest one that they've had SummerSlam when the last one was. If Fred were here, he'd be able to tell us because he was probably there.
It was the Izod.
The Izod Arena. Okay, in Jersey, right?
Yeah,
that's like near Rutgers.
Well, that's where MetLife is now.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So they've had some stuff, obviously. And New York is huge, man. Obviously, it's a great market. It's a good place for tourism. Brings people in from everywhere. SummerSlam. I like the 2-night thing for WrestleMania. I don't know if I love the 2-night thing for SummerSlam yet. We'll see how the first one goes, obviously, next year. I didn't think it was that long of an event this year, so I don't know why the second night. I get why, obviously, they're going to take that money regardless. But and it's a good blow-off show because, as you know, right now at the PLEs, they're not getting the blow-off events, right? We're not seeing the folks... you're not getting Johnny Gargano and DIY tag team match on a PLE. You're not getting but you're getting that maybe at SummerSlam, right, with the 2 nights. And so I guess it does give everybody an opportunity to be on the show, and allows that for an expansive thing and keeps the show times down. You can have 6 hours of stuff across 2 3-hour shows, right? Maybe a little bit easier. Also, I love that they do the take. I mean, they basically take over the city with stuff during those 4 big events a year, so that'll be really great. But yeah, man, SummerSlam 2 nights. I just saw the big announcement. It happened today, so we're on those. We are on those headlines, baby. We are clutched into it. All right, next headline: Cody Roman doing cinema. I hate to use a Miguel word, but it was in fact I thought it was maybe the best promo I've ever seen Roman cut. I thought that he looked like an actor. Like, he really did and I look, everyone knows I hate Roman. And I don't hate Roman, but I just don't get the Roman Reigns thing. Everybody thinks he's the greatest, all this bullshit. I'm not a Roman guy. I don't get it. I don't think he's a star. But, man, as on that segment, I was like, okay, I could see why. I could see it there. I can't see it any other time. I ain't seen it in ring. And I haven't seen him do it ever by himself until then. And I thought that was leaps and bounds his best thing that he's done. And, Johnny, shout out to Johnny, he always makes a comment in the chat that Roman needed Cody. And I think Cody needed Roman just the same to a certain extent. If you're going to have a huge feud and you're going to build a guy to the top, you got to go from the top and all that. And I just think the continuation is a unique. I don't know that I've seen a story go continuously this long. Like, it's pretty wild, right? Like 3 years, and they're making it fresh. I like the tag team aspect. I wasn't like, of course, I was like, yeah, Cody's gonna say no at first because that's a cool thing to do too. But I really do think that segment immediately made me care, and that's what you see a lot in wrestling, right? There's always a moment or a promo or a match or whatever that leads to making you really want to like sink in. And that was the first time I've ever been like, all right, I am invested in the Roman Reigns part of this story, because I've only been invested in the Cody part, obviously. So I'm a huge Cody guy, so like I get it. And I just thought that segment was leaps and bounds the best thing he's done. Then obviously you hear there's word that Paul Heyman produced it and he directed it or whatever, and like, awesome, because it looked good. Cody delivered leaps and bounds, but he always delivers, right? He's great. His vernacular, his vocabulary, all the things on the microphone, he's exceptional at that point, and that Roman really stood toe-to-toe, and I thought it was really good. So I also love the lighting and the cinematography that they did with it. I thought it was really cool. So good to the fact that I had to watch it a second time. My girlfriend's like, she missed it, right? So I'm like, all right, I'll rewatch it. Like, normally I'd be like, you have to watch on Twitter. And we watched the whole segment, and then they showed it again on Monday Night Raw, and I was like, I get it, man. It was really, really good. So I'm invested in that. And that's my soapbox, obviously, for it. But what are you're the same with me with Roman, right? I mean, we share very similar feedback on Roman. But what was your thoughts on the on it?
I thought it was really good. I kind of like this pit stop in between this and War Games.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I kind of wouldn't have gone the tag route, but I mean, I get why they're doing it. I probably
because they
wouldn't
can't
do it.
have Tonga Loa in a match anymore. That guy's fucking
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, so they I really wanted them to do the title match. I mean, it's kind of a shame that Cody's going to go into his hometown and not have a title match.
Okay.
But the tag match isn't a bad one.
And that's the thing too, is I think you used to see that a lot. This is very like new school with an old school flair booking, right? This is very like really. I always thought it was really cool when they did the random tags in the back in the day when it meant something to a story instead of the shit that they do now. And so like this is very like old school. Like, let's put our world champion in a tag match with another guy because they're both fighting this. And I was like, all right, I'm cool with that. But I agree, man. I would have loved to seen Cody. I just don't think, unfortunately, right now. And I think everybody's talked about, like, has Cody's run been whatever? He's had great matches. He hasn't had a feud yet. And I'm like, that's because there are no heels on SmackDown worth a fuck. For lack of a better term, there's just not anybody that can hang at his level on SmackDown from a heel perspective to make that. So, like, I think that he's done a lot with what he has and what they're continuing to do. And I'm interested to see how Kevin Owens gets involved, maybe. Yeah. And I'm interested to see where this goes for War Games, because what I don't want to see is Cody, Roman, Sammy, and Kevin versus, the Bloodline. Obviously, if you're going to do this stupid Rock Roman thing, then just do it, right? The Rock leads Solo and his goons, and Roman has his like, whatever you're going to do, just do it. Don't involve anybody else, because I don't need to see it. So I'm interested to see where that goes. I don't know that I have a. I'm interested. Bad Blood's going to be cool, man. I think obviously the story of Bad Blood is really Drew and CM Punk, and I mentioned this as and I said the same thing. I know that there's been a lot of discussion about that on the interwebs, the community. I think we could talk about this now, because I think that Drew and Punk deserve that. This is the last of their thing. This is where it ends, right? The bloodline thing is obviously still going, so just have it lead off the show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because obviously Hell in a Cell needs to close, make it a thing. I don't care if he hooks CM Punk or hooks Drew McIntyre to the bottom of the cell and it drags him up the top to the rafters. I don't care. I think it's going to be interesting. I also think they finally announced too, while we're on the bad blood subject, is Rey Mysterio Jr. or Rey Mysterio Jr. Dominic Mysterio is going to go in a shark cage, and they're finally doing that bit, and I think that's cool, man. I hope that's a fun match with Liv and Rhea.
That should be fun.
Yeah, man. Raw was pretty. I mean, I don't know. Raw was. We'll go to that too. That's one of the other. We'll talk about that next. Actually, while we're here, we'll just talk about it now because the next people is Raw. How were you surprised about Jey Uso winning?
I was. They kind of booked themselves in a corner here because, you have Braun who just won the title, and then you have Jay who has so much momentum, and you don't want to cut his momentum, but you also want to keep Braun strong. So, I really, after looking at it through in perspective,
Yeah.
I have a feeling he's not going to have a long run with the title. I think Braun's going to win it right back.
Okay.
But I mean, it was a cool moment. A lot of people are happy about it. I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Jey Uso, so
I think it's the perfect thing for him too, right? Because obviously Jay's not going to be a world champion. Even with that crowd, it's not Kofi Mania, right? It's not that thing. It's close to that love is there, but they're obviously not going to put the world title on him. So this is his thing. He hasn't had a chance to do the singles run. Jimmy is obviously still off TV. I was so surprised. I mean, I could not have been more caught off guard. I would have bet tickets. I mean, I would have bet my Mania tickets on it. There's no way he loses. They find some way to screw him. There's no way. And I was like, holy. And then I'll tell you the worst part about Raw, though, was unfortunately, you could see in the segment when he wins, there's that girl that runs production. She's like the queue person. She handles all the queues for everybody. She is running, scrambling, yelling for him to get up and get in the crowd because they've got to do the fireworks thing, right? Well, so they're so far behind, they're focused on him, they forget to switch the camera so you never see the fireworks go off, right? And Joe Tessitore's yelling the whole time, which is amazing. Joe Tessitore has done an incredible... I mean, he has blown me. I always thought he was going to be good because he does a great job with college football, which I love. He was incredible. But aside from that, he's yelling, and then the show just cuts off. It's the end, and then they go right into Love Island or whatever bullshit was next. And I was like, damn, that sucks for Jay because that was such a huge moment. And luckily, they put it on social medias right after and all the things, so that was cool. But damn, at first I was like, oh, this is so much chaos, and I wonder if it was because they went long or the finish he didn't hit his cues fast enough or whatever, because he's probably taken back, right? My first title, I would have lost my shit.
yeah.
I don't know, man. It was a really cool moment. Braun obviously is, if we could just fix his stupid entrance music now. I'm gonna have to live with the name, obviously. They're not changing it. They should, but they're not changing it, so I'm living with it. But his entrance music is so fucking god awful.
It's awful.
It's so bad. And so, yeah, man, I don't know. I thought Jay was really cool. I thought Raw, though, otherwise, while we're talking about this, I skipped through a lot of it, to be honest. And I'll tell you, I start Raw at 8:30, 9 o'clock Central Time. So for me, I can fast forward through all the stuff I don't want to watch. And so I fast forwarded through a lot of stuff. But that match was really, really great match. Not only that, and I just think Braun can go in the ring, man. He does a good job. He sells well. He's really doing. I think he'll be a good world champ when he gets there. But the more they make him like Rick or like Scott, I think the cooler it is, man. Because I was such a Scott Steiner guy, I thought it was awesome. So I don't know. Interesting to see. Raw was pretty crazy. A lot of things happening in the E right now, which we're getting it all out of the way now before we talk about the dub. All right, last headline. Mr. McMahon documentary is out. It is their memes are running wild. The GIFs, the cut videos, everything is out there. And it is before we talk too much, have you seen it? Did you watch anything of
No,
it yet? Okay, so you haven't started it yet.
I've seen clips of it. I
Okay.
haven't watched it.
So you've seen the clips. You've seen the highlights part.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I'll give you my feedback, and if you're watching live on Twitch, let me know your feedback. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments. I want to know what your thoughts are. No spoilers, just what your thoughts are on the documentary. Was it good? Was it bad? Did it make sense? What were your expectations? That type of thing. For me, my expectation was it was going to be a biography, a biopic about Vince McMahon, because he's never, as he mentions a lot, and I'll give him this, he doesn't like to talk about himself. Like, he's not Mr. McMahon. Of course, the character on TV is it's still a different person. But there's never been a biopic about him, right? There's every other wrestler, every other territory, every other moment has had a documentary. He's never had one. So I thought it was going to be really that. And I really liked so far. I'm a couple episodes in. I love that they went into the stuff. I do love he is as polarizing as he always has been. That's never going to change. He has aged better than anybody at that age I've ever seen, and he is still polarizing. He is an enigma. There are things that he says, though, where I'm just like, man, like, you don't think about that. Like, that doesn't cross your mind as like, that's a shitty thing that I did. The Wendy Richter thing, he's like, oh, as I recall, she was a problem backstage. All right, cool, man. That's the original Montreal screw job, right? It's the Madison Square Garden screw job, if you've ever seen it. But the way he talks about things, some of the stuff that he phrases is like, it's almost like he meant to do some of it, where he's like saying things to get you to feel a certain way. He's talking about the original alleged rape that happened. And he said it was consensual. But if it was rape, that the statute of limitations had run out. And just the saying of that's like, man, you don't think like, what the you know what I mean? I don't know, man. So there's a lot of moments like that so far, but overarching, the documentary is good. There's a lot of interesting stories. Nothing brand new yet that I haven't seen, but I do like his take on it, because you've never seen really his take on a lot of the things that happen. So if you're a wrestling fan, and shout out to Big Time, yes, it is. If you're a hardcore wrestling fan, you'll know most of the story. I think I agree. But it's interesting nonetheless. The one crazy thing that I felt like is the wildest shit to me in the whole first 3 episodes is Dave Meltzer acting like him and Vince McMahon are homies. I kid you not, Tank. He talks like him and Vince like they were talking like they're friends. Like, I understand that he was at the court trial during the steroid court. I get that he was on the Donahue show when that shit happened. But this man is legitimately acting like Vince and him are homies. It is the wild. And I'm just like, Bedwetter Dave? Oh, my God. Wow. And as y'all know, I hate the dirt sheets. So, like, he always has his opinion. I'm over it. I don't care. Whatever. But that's probably my most surprising thing is how much he talks like him and Vince were boys. So a lot of interesting stuff, man. What do you have an expectation for the documentary?
No. Vince McMahon, he's always going to have controversy. I mean, from what I've seen online, it's the same old things you always want to hear about, like the things that he won't talk about, and It's nice to, like you said, it's nice to have his perspective on things. Yeah,
I think that's the big thing too, is you're just getting a lot of his take, which is great. You're seeing that. And it's interesting. Like I said, I'm interested to get to the end where they turn on him, but there's a lot of funny stuff too that the steroid trial thing. I was too young at that time. I of course know the story, but I don't know a lot of the stories. But the Hogan thing is really, really hilarious, because Hogan just in there. This is surprisingly maybe the first time where he doesn't say anything super crazy outlandish that's not really true. The first 3 episodes, at least, he says like a lot of things that are actually accurate, and he didn't fictionalize any of it, which is pretty crazy. So good for him, good for Hogan to have a come about there. All right, the headlines, man. Great time to be a wrestling fan. A lot of things happening, but we all know what we came to talk about last night. AEW Grand Slam. Tank and the boys were there. Fred was there. I haven't heard his feedback from the show because I think he's still stuck in traffic in Queens, or at least complaining about it. Man, tell us about it. I mean, what you were there, you were live and in full effect. Let me get your feelings on the whole show.
It was a real fun time. There were a lot of, there's a lot of question marks going into AEW right now. A lot of exciting things. They got pay-per-views coming up. We got the Grand Slam in Australia. I just think it was a fun night of wrestling.
Hell yeah.
I think it was just,
Do you think they did a good job furthering the storylines that are out there right now?
Yeah, I was a little, I wasn't crazy about Osprey and Fletcher having a tag match on the show.
Sure.
I was kind of hoping we got Ricochet and Osprey tonight
Sure.
or last
we're,
night.
We're getting that at Wrestle Dream, right? Obviously.
No, we're getting it next week.
I missed that too.
It's on the 5th anniversary.
Oh, 5th anniversary show. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, so I mean, I thought it was good. The MVP thing was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the MVP, like I mentioned to you before we started the show, I only watched up to a certain point, and then flipping around, obviously, as I started the doc, and I missed that MVP showed up until this morning, and I was like, holy shit, MVP's there, man. And they're talking about bringing in Shelton and Bobby Lashley and maybe a fourth guy. And I saw the, I don't know if it was the Public Enemies podcast or the Black Announce Table. I can't remember which one it was. But they mentioned, I think it's Public Enemies podcast or something like that, and they mentioned that Kevin Knight would be awesome with MVP, and I was like, man, I really like Kevin Knight, so that would be cool. What was your favorite match not to get off track, what was your favorite match of the night?
My favorite match was probably Danielson and Nigel.
Okay.
That was really cool.
Okay.
I thought it was cool that they did the little fake out, like he wasn't going to come out, and then he did.
I thought that was the best part, too, because I was like, that's very old school, and I love that. Especially because he was like, I'm coming out to Oasis. Are you coming out to Final Countdown? And then he did. I thought that was great. I thought Nigel and Bryan Danielson was paced really well, was executed really well. I really thought it was a cool ode at the end that they called out that he said thank you to Bryan Danielson. You weren't watching, obviously, but they said you guys were there live. But on commentary, they called out that he said thank you when he tapped, and I thought that was really cool, man. Because obviously, like, I don't know how many matches we're gonna see in Nigel, right? That may have been the only one he wanted to do, and he was just like, hey, I want to have one more with Bryan, and they've done a great job for a year long on commentary, him ruining Danielson's life on commentary. So it's like that was a great story, and we got a one-off, and it was cool. I thought it was exceptional. He hit that jawbreaker lariat off the Busaiku knee. The whole match was really, really paced well, and it was cool because it wasn't like, it was very reminiscent of their ROH stuff without like the brutality of the ROH stuff, because in ROH they were just, headbutting poles and shit. It was crazy. But Nigel, the only thing I'm upset about, man, Nigel, come on, man, what are you doing with your ring gear, dog? Come on. What are we doing? Come out with the blonde spikes, just like everybody wanted to see, and the legacy Nigel McGuinness shirt. What are we doing? Come on, if we're going to do the ode to the throwback, let's do it. And I wish Bryan Danielson would have came out with his old robe. That would have been cool too. But nonetheless, I thought that was a great match too. How good was the tag match? And I will say this, watching on TV, the crowd was trash. Absolute dog shit. I mentioned it to Mario this morning. I thought it was terrible. What were your thoughts? Was the crowd electric there, or is it because of the way the setup is? Or
I think it's the way the setup is. Like a lot of, like, I felt like I was off on the chance a little bit.
Okay.
Like, even though, like, it was weird.
Maybe it's meant to be that way because of tennis, right? They want it to be as quiet as possible. I don't know.
It's possible, but I thought they were pretty loud from where I was sitting.
Okay. Yeah, where on TV, it was like, this is bad. I was like, well, that's so weird. What was your least favorite moment of the show?
It was probably well, I stayed for Collision, so it was definitely the Jericho 6-man.
Man, tough to have to stay for Collision too. What time did you get home?
We got back around like 1.
Oh, so it wasn't terrible. Okay, that's pretty good. It was the Jarrett Hangman thing cool? Obviously, you guys were there, so we didn't get to see it.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
Was it cool?
That was cool.
Awesome, yeah. I got an exciting Jarrett thing today for something, so I'm excited to bring that up. Yeah, man, AEW Grand Slam just continues. I think that they continue to deliver, and they're doing a lot of great stuff. Like you said, they're at a really almost like a very crucial moment in their history to, can they sustain the fandom? At some point, there has to be a realistic star leader of the company who is without a doubt the reason why people watch, right? It's a fundamental thing of pro wrestling. It's been that way for as long as things have been wrestling, right?
Yeah.
MJF is supposedly that guy. However, I don't know. I think that it may, I don't know if I agree with that, but there's those, and they have so many great wrestlers, and maybe it's not just one guy. Maybe it is the team of people that they have. I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm excited to see they have so much great talent and things that I just really hope that they do great stuff with the wrestlers that they have. And Danielson's time is spent, the rest of his career there is spent well. And I don't know, just a really good. I'm excited for AEW, and I think also their new deal, obviously, right? We heard today that Bleacher Report is closing the app. They're no longer going to offer the pay-per-view, right? So, but all the stuff. So they're going to Fight and Triller. We'll see if the app's any better. Obviously, like, we hope that they go to Max and everything gets put on Max. That's really all we really want. Sorry, excuse me. Oh man, one of them days. I'm allergic to my own bullshit. Yeah, I don't know. We're interested to see what happens with their media deal. That's obviously coming up. But 5 years of Dynamite coming up next week, right?
I think so, yeah. It goes against NXT.
Yeah, crazy. One-on-one. Wild times. Good stuff happening at Grand Slam. All right. We're gonna go into trivia, and we're gonna do this new thing. And Tank talked me into it because we were gonna do it, but Fred let us down. Fred didn't join, and I felt bad having trivia without Freddie Fresh. But we've got new trivia. This is a game that I picked up at McKay's. I was showing Tank. Let me show here. Is it straight up and down? Oh, there it is. Trivia Mania. It's a WWE game. It's like 10 plus years old because CM Punk's still on the cover. So there's cards. I don't actually know how the game works. It's got a board, but we're just gonna pick. We're gonna pick 2 cards because there's 3 questions each that I saw, and we're gonna go modern era, which means within the last, I would assume, 15 years. But it's really hard for me because I can't. I got to read and I've got to cover up some of the questions. So we're gonna get into it here with trivia time. And you call yourself a fan, but I'm not going to run the thing because I've only got one hand. All right. Who defeated John Cena in a New York City parking lot brawl at the 2008 Great American Bash?
JBL.
Exceptional. JBL is correct. Great job. All right. Who won his first World Heavyweight Championship at Extreme Rules, only to lose it to Randy Orton less than a week later?
Was it Punk?
No. I'll give you one more guess because I already read the answer.
Oh, was it his only one?
His only one. Well, so he may have had one. No. He won not his only one, but his first. He's in AEW now.
Oh, is it Jericho?
It's Christian.
Christian, that's right.
All right, this is a fun one right here. What WWE superstar created the cult hit weekly YouTube show Z, The True Long Island Story in 2011?
Well, Zach Ryder.
Excellent. That's a fun one. All right, these questions are kind of cool because they're a little new. It's mixing it up from our new generation era. All right, here we go. I found a better way. Now I can answer these because I can hold it. I can cover it up. Vince McMahon sold Raw to what former rival in June 2009, only quickly to buy it back a few weeks later?
Donald Trump.
I am also going to go with Donald Trump. It is Donald Trump, the Donald. Isn't it hilarious that he was involved in professional wrestling and now
awesome.
What a time to be alive as a human being in America. If you guys, that's really what I should tell people. Oh, you're voting for him? Why don't you go back and watch a little WWE 2009, my guy? A little WrestleMania 23, my guy. All right, who did Paul Heyman award the ECW championship when WWE relaunched the brand in 2006?
Rob Van Dam.
Rob Van Dam is correct. All right. Last one. What superstar likes to induct his opponents into his Hall of Pain?
Mark Henry.
Hell yeah. These are fun. All right. These are good ones because they're kind of relevant and new. So, little trivia time, man. If you guys haven't seen this game, it's called Trivia Mania. I picked it up for like $10 at McKay's, man. I was collecting wrestling video games, and I happened to see it, and I thought that was really cool, man. I'm into like the weird kitschy, not like I don't like knickknacks, as my brother calls them, but I do like the different wrestling stuff and kind of different oriented stuff. So pretty good trivia time. All right. With trivia time, we've got one has to go. You gotta get rid of one. And these are some of the best moments, best times, best wrestlers, best things happened in wrestling, and you got to get rid of one. And this week it is AEW legends, meaning they've had a wrestling career that has been exceptional, spans careers, but their legend part of their career or their post-prime, they're in their legend status, they're in their part-timer thing in AEW. So it's AEW WWE legends. One has to go. In the top left, you've got the last outlaw himself, Jeff Jarrett. In the top right, you've got not the learning tree. This is the better version of Jericho. So think of Jericho, first title win, Jericho. AEW. In the bottom left, he is the rated R superstar, Edge Copeland. And in the bottom right, he is the patriarchy, Nick Wayne's father, Christian. One has to go. AEW legends. So the only thing you're going to miss is you pick one to go, and they just don't exist in AEW.
Damn, I think I'm going the last outlaw.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Wow. What's your reasoning?
You need Jericho there to get
it off the ground.
Started.
Yeah. He was really great. That first run of Jericho's was good. I was there when he won. Good. The first one that he won at All In or at All Out. I was there. It was awesome. Against Hangman. Everybody thought Hangman was going to win. Great booking decision when you needed something. I mean, obviously we loved Hangman, but like everybody knows Jericho, right?
Yeah. You need Christian. I mean, this guy's on the run of a lifetime.
He is, but do you need him?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we need him.
Okay.
Because without him, AEW doesn't get that credibility.
Fair enough. Okay.
I think did he come after Sting? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, listen.
I was gonna I was gonna add Sting to this list, except Sting really didn't do anything, except add credibility. He didn't actually you know what I mean? Like he wasn't like these other four that are having matches like every week.
But yeah, and then Adam Copeland, you're lucky if you get a guy like Adam Copeland.
Yeah.
Like that man is, he's having a good time.
Sure. That's fair. Okay. Wow. Okay. I am actually going to get rid of Edge. I wasn't an Edge guy back in the day. I wasn't an Edge head. He was a great wrestler. Don't get me wrong. He's an exceptional superstar, but he was really, really successful during a time when I wasn't actively watching WWE. As much. And so it's been great to have him back. It's really cool moment. But I don't think that he's put on like matches that I've cared about as much. He's had some really cool ones. And the Christian thing, though, I really do wish culminated in a world title, not what they were doing. So yeah, I don't know. It was between him and Christian. I'll be honest with you, man, because I love Christian. I think Christian is a great character. He's a great talk. But man, some of the stuff he does, I just don't get. Last night with the pin with Sabian, like, just kill me now, dude. Kip Sabian is a vacuum of charisma. Poor guy. He's good. I liked him. I loved Kip Sabian, and I think I saw him in Progress maybe, and he's really good. But I just don't really care for him in right now. But I love Jeff Jarrett, man. I think Jeff Jarrett's rejuvenation is because, as I mentioned this last week, his podcast is given him like a new life and a new lease on everything, and he's delivered. He's been good in the ring. His storylines are cool. He does a lot of great stuff, and I just am like, man, I love this part of Jeff Jarrett to get to see that again. I was a big Jeff Jarrett TNA fan, and I loved him when he was the chosen one in WCW, excuse me. So yeah, I really like that. And obviously Jericho is Jericho. I could do without the learning tree. But everything else, man, I mean, Jericho did a really exceptional job. The stuff he did with MJF, his first run as champ, like, he's done a great job, right? The lay sex gods. So yeah, I can't do it without Jericho. But crazy, man. One has to go. AEW legends, man, having their second career. It's been pretty crazy to think, like, the stuff that they've done and be able to, like, give a second life to wrestlers after WWE, or, like, it's a really cool thing to see that, because we're getting Bryan Danielson, obviously. We got Punk back. Like, man, there is no Punk in WWE if Tony Khan doesn't talk him out of coming out of retirement. Am I right? I mean, people can say what they want, but I don't think he goes back to WWE and have a conversation with Triple H or whatever happened if Tony Khan doesn't pull him out of retirement. You know, there's a lot of stuff like MVP getting another shot at this whole thing, and Tony Schiavone and Taz and the legends, that guys who obviously have a lot left in their tank and also are doing a good job giving back to the people for the next future. It's not like any of them are taking away from others like legends used to do. Like, you used to hear that a lot, right? Veterans did that, and it's like, I don't think we're seeing that here. We're seeing guys put young guys over. I saw Roderick Strong put over Hook last night. And then I was like, what is happening with Undisputed Kingdom? What? But I was like, okay.
I'm so over that group. I mean, I like the Roddy Strong and
I love Roddy
Kingdom
Strong.
stuff.
Yeah.
They're good.
But
I don't
as
know
Undisputed Kingdom, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Dude, they unfortunately got straddled with something, and then they thought Cole was going to come back, and obviously he's not. And man, have they been straddled with, like, the worst.
And Wardlow's hurt now.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. So what do you do there? We didn't talk about this at the beginning of the show, and I knew this will be my last point. Thank God we got rid of one title in AEW. FTW title's gone. We as fans have succeeded. Up next is going to be the 6-man titles. I can feel it. We got to get rid of them. Maybe
we got to get rid of one of them at least.
Yeah, it's so bad. But yeah, man, I don't know. A lot of things happening in pro wrestling right now. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. I say it every week because I truly mean, like, I've been a wrestling fan my whole life. Obviously, Tank, you've been a wrestling fan your whole life. It is as good a time to be a fan as it ever has been. So I'm interested to see. I love the continuation of where we're going and things that we're seeing, and we get to talk about wrestling every week. Thanks for joining, man. Anything else you want to say?
No, just exciting week next week. We got NXT and AEW going to get against each other.
Dude, CW live on CW. Shout out to the NASCAR haters too, man. I know y'all saw Cole Custer rocking that NXT CW car in NASCAR this weekend in Kansas. Check it out. It's going to be pretty cool. NXT going live next week on the CW. They're not going to be live, obviously. They're going to be live every week, but it's not going to be on Wednesdays all the time. It just happens to be next week, right? Or Tuesday, I mean.
Yeah, I think it's Championship Tuesday or something.
Nice. So that's exciting, man. A lot of good wrestling. Interested to see what happens in NXT. Yeah. Until next time, when we go around the mat.